Hello guys, I hope everything works well. Let's check what kind of sound do we have. Is everything working fine or not? Could you please comment? So this webinar is kind of experiment. We make it to help you with sales. So I hope it will be useful for you. And after 1-2 minutes, after we understand that everything is okay with the stream, we start. I see everything is fine. So very nice. Let's switch to the presentation mode and let's go. So this is the webinar about user control methods. Why did we choose this topic? Because a lot of companies which work with Smarthome, what they do is they offer client something which is scary, something which client does not like, but which this installer particularly likes. So when no client is expecting that you offer him this and you are offering him this, then you have no sales. So this is the problem. That is why we have this presentation about what kind of control methods are most popular right now and what kind of control methods are liked by the client. Okay, so this is our plan. This will not be a long webinar. I think it will be much shorter than 1 hour, maybe half an hour, something like this. But information will be following. So we will start from typical control elements. We will go to switches and buttons, and then smart switches, touch screens, and so on. And then we will discuss how do we talk to the client about this and what to do next if we want to increase our sales knowing all this information. So what we have is we have 6 types of most popular control elements for home control, for smart home. We have switches, and these switches are something which you can buy in the typical electrical store, and client can buy them himself. And then smart switches, which are usually bought from the installer. And then touch screens and remotes, sensors and automation, and then voice control, and then gadgets control. So these are 6 types of control which you should offer to your client, so your client is glad and is coming back for you for the next project. So let's start from the switches and buttons. These are most basic control elements, but there are some installers who would like to not use them at all. Many times I've heard that some kind of a beginner installer comes and says, my client wants everywhere not to have switches. He wants everything to be automated. So he comes to the room, light turns on and AC turns on and the temperature is ideal. And security works the way it should work without any kind of panels additional and so on. So this really not working well. You should use switches because when client comes somewhere to some kind of a room, he needs to turn on the light. He does not want to go there in the dark room. But when he has a different mood, sometimes he wants to go into the dark room and he does not want the light to be on, but we cannot yet read minds. So client becomes not very becomes very upset actually when he gets this. After a few months, he just asks everything to be removed from the automation and manual control to be installed. So classical switches, can we use it? Yes. A lot of clients, they ask for classical switches only. They say, we want everything to be as simple as possible. When, for example, client's mother, which can be maybe old and maybe cannot understand how to control these smart switches, when she comes into the room, she needs to be able to turn on. She needs to be able to understand how this works without asking anyone. So classical switches is the best option for a lot of clients. And then we have low voltage switches. Low voltage switches are actually the same classical switches, but they can use more buttons because they are low voltage. So you can use, in a smaller one, you can use 6 or sometimes even 8 buttons. You can use icons which are lit and other things. So for smart installation, when client wants everything to be simple, but we do not want a lot of typical switches, we can use this type of low voltage switch. Where do we get them? We have our own product line, so you can find it in our price lists, and you can use icons in there. They are lit, they are 24 volts, and you can use them together in line, or you can use them together with thermostat. So next is how to connect. We connect low voltage or normal switches directly to Metaforsa, and we have inputs, 24 inputs on typical Metaforsa, or we use DW-SW16, or we can use BW-SW06. So these types of controllers are inputs which can be connected to any kind of switches which we mentioned. Will this webinar be accessible afterwards? Yes, dear Arthur, it will be. So this is another way how we connect it, and this device, BW-SW24, gives us connection to up to 6 buttons and up to 6 LED lights inside this switch. So we can have a real-time status. Okay? And then we have smart switches. Smart switches we have when client has more money, and sometimes when we want to have a daisy chain connection instead of star connection, which we need for a typical normal switch. So smart switches usually include the same buttons and the same LED icons as low voltage switches. Sometimes they include sensors inside, like temperature sensors or maybe humidity sensors. And you can use thermostat control panels also from the same product line. So you can use the same design for thermostats and for buttons, which is very nice for some projects. Also, music control panels are popular in some kind of commercial installations. On home installations, very rare, because client usually controls his music from smartphone or from touch panel. But on commercial installations, sometimes it is nice to have this kind of music control panel. Companies like Russound or Key Digital, RTI, they use things like that, and they can sell it to you. So where do we get these types of smart panels? You can get them from us also, or you can become a dealer for infinite amount of companies which provide a lot of nice designs for switches. So this is product line which is now available from us with thermostats and button panels with icons and so on. And also this kind of Siemens thermostat is also fully compatible with our system. so you can connect directly AC to it and connect to our system. How do we connect? Actually, two types of most used protocols for smart panels are KNX and Modbus. So you connect them all. You can connect KNX using DMG+, and you can connect Modbus switches, thermostats using DWRS485. So these are two types of devices for smart panels connection. So actually almost any kind of panel which is now on the market you can use, not only these panels which we offer for you. Now let's move to touch screens. Touch screens are used when we want to have more control. For example, we want to control not one room but many rooms or the whole floor. And also if we want to have the video door phone intercom function. So touchscreens are mostly for this one. You can use a plan control from our own application. We offer 4-inch, 5.5-inch and 8-inch touchscreens. 5.5 and 8 are PoE, so you use just one cable to connect Ethernet network and power to them. And they go to a typical back box, the same one which is for a typical switch. And 4-inch you can also use, and 4-inch works from 230 volts. So you connect Ethernet and 230 volts. All of these panels also have Wi-Fi, so if you don't have direct connection to the system, you can use Wi-Fi with no problem. And on the wall you can also use iPads. And iPads we use when client says I am the fan of Apple and I like how iPad looks like, and not use iPads if client says please do not use Wi-Fi. So if client is okay with Wi-Fi, then iPad. If you need a connection, wired connection to the network, maybe better use our previous panels. There are solutions for wired connection to network for iPad, but keep in mind two things about iPads. They look very nice on wall, but they will be updating sometimes, and after update it is possible that client will ask you to come and to update the software as well, because after updates sometimes you need to update all the software manually. And then another thing is when iPad is always on charging, there could be a problem with batteries. So the batteries sometimes they become big and blow up, so this is not also nice. And built-in panels, they do not have batteries, so they do not have this problem. As for software options, you can, with our system, you can use either Larnitech application or HomeKit application. Which one is better? Actually, Larnitech application is a bit more function filled, so more functions in Larnitech application if you think about controlling only our system. But HomeKit is nice to use when client likes everything Apple, he likes this design, and when he would like to connect maybe third-party devices which are only compatible with HomeKit, like for example some kind of white goods and some kind of gadgets. Yes, so if these gadgets are compatible only with HomeKit, so you connect both Larnitech and these gadgets to HomeKit and you control them together. Also, there is a AV control, popular option, some kind of a smart remote control. And this one from RTI is fully compatible with Larnitech. you will need to use external controller by RTI. This controller can help you control a lot of audio video devices like projectors, like TVs and different kinds of players and media players and so on. So you can control Larnitech, and you can control audio video from one remote control if client likes the options like this one. It can control Apple TV, for example. It can control a lot of smart applications on TVs and so on. And then there is another type. So we had now two types, switches and smart switches. And then we have touchscreens. Now let's go to sensors and automation and schedules. Of course, when client wants home automation, he wants a lot of things automated. And automated means that you will use sensors. These are most popular environmental sensors. So we can check temperature, motion, humidity, light level, CO2. These are like 5 parameters which clients usually would like to know inside the typical rooms. And then there are popular sensors for security only. And if environmental sensors, we can use our own. We can use our own 5-in-1, 6-in-1 sensor, 3-in-1 ceiling sensor, wall sensors, and so on. We have all them in our catalog. As for security sensors, we have some of them. We have, for example, motion, water leak, but others we need to connect to our inputs. So on the right, you see SW16 again, the same one which is for switches, and you can connect these sensors like fire sensors, smoke sensors, and gas leak sensors, and so on, directly to it. You will need to find a special version of these sensors. So sometimes, for example, you can have 3 wires connection for sensors. For example, fire sensor, you have 3 wires connection, means 2 wires will be power and 1 wire will give you information if there is a fire or not. But if you find 4, means that 2 wires will be power, for example 12 volts, and 2 more wires will be dry contacts. And these dry contacts is the connection which we need for our systems. So you can connect any kind of dry contact sensor. There are a lot of them on the market, and then they will work inside our system. It is important to understand that our system is not a fire control system, for example, and also is not certified security system. These all are functions of our system, but we are not certified to be installed on commercial projects, for example. So if you want a real certified system, it is possible also to install full certified system and connect its status contacts to our system as well. So you will have fully independent fire and security system, and then you will have status inside our system. So you can have notifications, you can have integration. For example, when security system is active, then our system will go to economy mode and turn off a lot of lights and turn on economy mode in ACs and so on. Okay? So there is also a question what to do with sensor values, because we connect sensor and we understand what this sensor gives us, but how do we get use of it? How do we make use of it? So these are like from most simple way to most advanced way. So the most simple way is to show values to client in real time. So once you show values to client in real time, he can go to touchscreen, for example, and see what kind of temperature, what kind of humidity, is door then there open or is door there closed, and are windows open or not, and so on. So he can understand what happens. And then we can get additional function of notification. So we can also notify client and service company. So you can connect very easily, you can connect any value of the sensor. So for example, if it is higher than this, if it is lower than this, you can connect it to notification in our system. And in blocks, you just connect them together and they start notifying. And then you can automate different systems. For example, you can automatically turn on light. Yes, the most simple. And a bit more advanced is you can turn on light using few sensors. And so you do not have light turned off when you do not want it, and so on. So you can automate with sensors. And then the most advanced option is advanced systems interconnection, when you want different kinds of sensors to work in one mode when, for example, client is home, in a different mode when client is not home. So for example, when client is home, motion sensors and open-close sensors, they work for lighting and for climate maybe, and for music. But when client is not home, they become working as security sensors, and they do different things absolutely. Okay, so we can do different things with sensor values. And then we can connect schedules. So as for schedules, you can do regular actions. So for example, every Tuesday, 3 o'clock at night, you do this. For example, you open and close water valves. So if they are closed for too long time, or if they are opened for too long time, they can stop working properly. So you open them and close them at night every week, or any other way. So you can have also calendar actions. So at this date, do this. And you can also have astronomic calendar. So once you install a weather plugin to our system, you tell the place where this project is located. So system understands where this project is located, where this site is located. And then system can get the times for sunrise and sunset, and it becomes available for automation. So you can do some things after sunrise, 10 minutes after sunrise, for example, or maybe 1 hour before sunset, something like this. Okay? And also you can connect them together. You can connect schedules and automations together. So every automation which we have, for example, this automation turns on light from movement, from motion. You can make it during the day, but at night you do it different way, and you have one schedule to work. This kind of light turns on during day. Another schedule, another kind of light turns on during night. Yes, so quite easily you can set up schedules and automations work together. And then client sometimes wants to control a lot of things by hand. So he wants to turn off light and like walk in a dark apartment or villa. Or maybe he wants everything to be on and he does not want these sensors to turn everything off. So we have automated period. This is called disable auto in our application. So for any kind of automation, you can set up this time. If client turns on something or turns off something by hand, then automation stops working for example, for 10 minutes in here, but it can be like few hours. And then a lot of clients, they want voice control. Voice control is, for a few years already, it is very popular. And voice control is now ecosystems. And 3 most popular ecosystems you all know. And this one is HomePod by Apple. And this one is Google Home Mini, I think, by Google. And this one is one of the versions of Amazon Alexa. They look quite the same as the little balls right now. So what you can do is you can connect any kind of voice control to our system, and almost any function, not any, but almost any function is usually available for voice control. So maybe nothing else to talk about this. And then gadgets and smartphone control. For this you will most likely need iOS and Android applications. So we have 3 main options for it. We have Larnitech application, we have home application in Apple and in iOS, and we have other applications which are also capable of controlling Larnitech. So as for Larnitech application, we can have a dark user interface with the plans, so you can use quite easy, quite simple user interface for a client. And then you can have a light user interface like this one. Main advantages of our application is very fast setup, and you know that setup phase can eat all your profit. I speak about this on all presentations usually, because you install everything and after that you spend 2 months setting this up, and you need to pay to these people, and it eats all your profit, and the profitable project becomes not profitable projects. So here fast setup keeps your profits safe. Very fast setup, and then it is feature rich, so you can have a lot of features. All features actually in the system are first available inside the application. And then it is very reliable, so it works fast and it works really good. And then it is remotely serviceable. For example, if client says, please change the name of this button, or please change the name of this room, or make this room higher in the menu, or something like this, it is quite easy to do remotely, and you do not need to come to client to do this, or you do not need to get a special project for each type of device. For example, you don't need to have one project, as for many other software products, one project for iPad, another project for iPhone, and for a different iPhone another project, and then for Windows, and so on. Also, you have no problems when client has a new device. So when client has a new device, you will be easily it will be easily transferred by QR code. So you will give client a QR code, he downloads Larnitech application, reads this QR code and controls everything. Also, from our application you can have different levels of access. So for children there will be one access, for adults there will be another access, for service people there will be another access, and so on. So it's quite easy to have different levels of access in our application. Also, now our application has a new function which has a very nice renting option. So if you give the apartment for rent or villa for rent, your tenants can scan the QR code which you create right from the application. From your application you make a QR code and you set up how many days it will work. For example, you get clients in Airbnb for 7 days and you easily make a 7 days QR code. They read it and only 7 days they will be able to use locks to open doors. They will be able to control light, to see cameras and everything else. So very nice function. If client would like to use internal options of operating system of his gadgets, then he uses Home application, which is already on almost all client devices usually. So I do not need to install it. It is very easy to use when you have this, for example, this kind of menu, and this kind of menu gives you some quick menu gives you some widgets to control and so on. So Larnitech or third-party devices, you can connect them together, like some kind of a smart vacuum cleaner which can be connected to HomeKit, and then Larnitech connected to HomeKit, and you can connect them together inside. The client can do it himself. So actually this is it. Now you know most of types of control elements. What to do after this webinar to improve your sales? So there are some things which you can do to really improve your sales knowing all this. So the first thing which you should do is you should grow your confidence in our system. So you should go and get online training. Once you get to our website, larnitech.ae, you go to online training part, and once you see online training and once you pass the test which is in there, you can get the certification from the factory. This is first. And second, you will be confident in what you offer so you can sell better. If you are not confident, you will not sell good. But for advanced training, it is advisable to have your own devices already, because you need to repeat what is done on the screen. And then I strongly advise you to build your own nice showroom, because if you don't have showroom, it is not easy to show these control methods. So you tell clients, so this kind of button and this kind of touch screen and this kind of sensor, he does not understand it until you show it to him at the same time. So you can show it different control methods live in real showroom. And then you can show main control systems. You can show lights, blinds, climate, security, music, and these things. So it becomes much easier to sell. And we have a showroom kit. So this is a special offer until 15th of June, where you can get this showroom kit with the discount of about 60%. So about 4,000 dirhams will give you 5-in-1 sensor, a Metaforsa with a lot of inputs, a lot of outputs, a media point for music and for different voiceovers and personal announcements and so on, and 8-inch touch panel also included. So this is enough to have a very nice showroom and to practice yourself. And then start interviewing your clients with this table. We will send you the link to the folder in Google Docs where you will find this kind of table. So when you talk to client, you tell him like, okay, we are in your living room. What kind of control do you want there? Do you want classical switch? He says yes. Do you want like buttons, low voltage, or you want normal toggle switches? He says toggle switches. Do you want engraving? Yes, and so on. So do you want touch screens? Which size? Do you want automation with humidity, for example, in this room, and so on. So once you have this table, first is that client understands that you get this. You know what kind of elements should be used in his house. And second is you do not forget it, because when the client says, why did not you use this and this, you cannot say that you did not tell this. You get just his signature after you fill all this, and this becomes a technical task for your project. Okay, so this is very useful tool to not forget different things. And when your salespeople, they just talk to a client, they ask a lot of things, but they are not specific about each room, it is not very good. And also you can use our managers to make quotations. Yegor Lapkov and Gulam Gus, they are ready to help you with quotations and with commercial offers to your clients. So when someone comes to you saying, please do home automation for my villa, you can do the first one, the second one with them, and they will prepare it for you and they will explain how it is done. And after that, you will be able to do it yourself. This will be much easier. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. These are our Telegram and our Instagram accounts, so you can connect and you can follow us if you still do not. Thank you very much for coming to this webinar. I hope it went well. If you have questions, you can ask our manager guys, or you can directly ask me in the Telegram group. I'm usually there, and if any kind of question, you can ask me, and I will answer, or our technical team will answer. Okay, so thank you very much for attending. Goodbye.